and the lake come into play. In both cases, we are talking about water here, which in Jung is the most common symbol for.
How many artists ever were so deep in their thinking and their philosophy and their creativity that they needed analysis? What's up, everybody? It's your man DT Parker, back at it again with another video reaction. And I'm going to be watching the Bookish Theories explanation on the Black Swan live performance on the James Corden show. I did react to that. You can see that reaction on my Patreon page. But I wanted to watch this with you guys, which is the explanation. I really liked the Bookish Theory explanation on the shadow. That was really interesting to watch. So I wanted to see what the explanation was for this. So I'm excited to watch this. So without further ado, as they say, let's get into it. All right. What do we got?
Hello and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, I would like to talk about
Worldwide
BTS
Handsome
Black Swan live performance at the Late Late Show with James Corden, which will haunt us for the rest of our lives for many different reasons. Today, we're gonna focus on how this performance single-handedly explained everything we need to know about Map of the Soul 7 and its connection with BTS past eras.
Really?
So buckle up,
Okay.
because there's quite a lot to unpack here.
Well, give it to
now,
me, babe.
The first thing that we need to do in order to understand the overall concept here is to take a look at the setting and the choreography.
Right.
In the performance, the boys play the role of the Black Swans, the shadow version of themselves who dance on a lake in the middle of a forest. Right off the bat, this is very interesting because the setting here not only connects us right back to Carl Jung's theories, but also to the Swan Lake, which is the ballet at the center of the events portrayed in the movie Black Swan.
Wow.
In the Swan Lake, the protagonist and her friends are cursed by a spell.
I haven't even seen that. I know Swan Lake is a famous show and a famous play. I've never seen it. I wonder if that would help to watch that before I go any further. I don't know. I should probably watch that. Have you guys seen that? The original Swan Lake? I need to see that.
That forces them to turn into white swans during the day and take back human form during the night. In the original story, the Black Swan is the dark version of the protagonist, the daughter of the sorcerer who is transformed into her in order to seduce the prince that is meant to save her. And the performance borrows some of these elements.
You ever have those moments in life where when you realize that you haven't seen nothing? There's so much in the world, there's so much beauty in the world, there's so much experience in the world, and you have barely even scratched the surface. Have you ever had one of those thoughts? Ever since I've been getting into BTS, they're kind of making me realize I haven't seen nothing yet. There's so much out there to see. Life is short, and especially coming off the whole Kobe Bryant thing, life is short, and you really need to take in as much of life as you can. And BTS is really making me realize I need to see more things, I need to experience more things, because you never know how much time you have. Anyway, I thought I'd just throw that out there.
In order to adapt them to the Map of the Soul concept. Even if in the ballet the Black Swan is only one, the boys here are all Black Swans, because all of them are the protagonists of this story, and the song is meant to portray the moment in which their shadows take over and are finally free. Now, in Jung's theories, the shadow is the part of a person that is repressed in the unconscious. The shadow is literally the most primitive side of our personality, so it makes sense that in BTS's universe, it takes on the shape of an animal. But as we see in the interlude, BTS's shadow is able to transform into different things.
That's what I meant. I was impressed with Bookish Theories' explanation for the interlude. That's what I meant earlier.
According to the circumstance. Their shadow can be the loneliness, the anxiety, and the pressure that come with success. It can be the fear to succeed and the audience that gave them fame in the first place. It can be the press, the haters, and the stalkers who follow them everywhere they go. But no matter how you want to see it, it is fair to assume that their shadow is always somehow connected with their fame. This makes sense because their fame is the result of them over-identifying with the persona. This is an idea that was already explored back in Jamais Vu, which describes a sense of unfamiliarity that is felt towards something that should be considered familiar. In that song, the persona was something that at times felt foreign to them, and this concept was meant to foreshadow the idea that their identity was not as balanced as it should have been.
You know, I'm starting to wonder, whoever this person is behind the Bookish Theories, this lady or whatever, I gotta meet this person. Do you guys know anything about her? Does she have a story? What is her deal? The fact that she takes the time to interpret this stuff and create these things, she must have a lot of time on her hands, and she must know a lot about BTS, and she must be a real stan, if you know what I'm saying. If any of you know about this Bookish Theory person, or Miss Bookish Theory person, if you're listening, drop me a, hit me up. We should chat. I want to find out more about you.
You see, the goal of the map of the soul is to reach individuation, which is the achievement of balance among the different parts of our identity. This means that by the end of the map of the soul era, we should get to the point where persona, shadow, anima, ego, and self are all in harmony with one another. But right now, we are not there yet, because the shadow has taken control. This is because the boys put so much attention on the persona that their shadow was allowed to grow undetected. As the light became more intense, their shadow fed off of it and distorted their dream by turning it into a nightmare. So now, since they're actually questioning who they are and how they are doing, the shadow has taken over because it's too powerful for them to control it. Now, this is all fun and games, right? But what does it have to do with the Black Swan concept? Well, in order to answer this question...
Before we get into that, that is fascinating. The fact that they're arguably the biggest music group in the world. They have tremendous success, tremendous fame, tremendous temptation, I bet. And the fact that they're making an album to kind of point out that they're aware of it. They understand where they're at and the pulls that fame kind of brings. They're on top of it. They already know the temptations and the pitfalls of being really, really mega famous. And their album is basically saying, this is what can happen if you let things get out of hand. They're already on top of it. They're amazing. So it's just fascinating that they're playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. They're like 3 moves ahead, and they're entertaining us with their ability to think 3 moves ahead. These guys are on a different level.
We have to take a look at the way Carl Jung interpreted the symbols that we find in the performance. The stage is set at night, and while the light shines from below the surface, we see the boys in a forest dancing on a lake and next to a waterfall.
Which looked amazing.
In literature, mythology, and folklore, the archetype of the forest dark is a symbol that, according to Jung, is usually associated with the darker aspects of our unconscious. The forest is a place that is wild, inaccessible, and scary. So it makes sense that in the performance, this is the location where we find the shadows. In comparison to the other types of shadows that we see in the interlude, the black swans are actually animals. So this is as raw and primitive as it gets. What we're seeing here is the unfiltered version of the shadow, not the one we are able to see through the persona or in dreams, but the one that we meet when we go deeper within ourselves. In order for this exploration to take place, however, we need a link that connects the conscious with the unconscious. And this is where the waterfall and the lake come into play. In both cases, we are talking about water here, which in Jung is the most common symbol for.
How many artists ever were so deep in their thinking and their philosophy and their creativity that they needed analysis of every move that they make, every visual, because nothing's an accident with these guys. Everything is thought out, deeply thought out. I don't think I can think of any music artist, or any artist for that matter, that you needed analysis to break down what they do. Most people just see music as just shallow entertainment. That's probably why a lot of people, especially here in the West, who don't bother to look deeper, only see the K-pop corn manufactured stuff. They lump it all in a category, and they don't bother to see the layers that these guys are going to. Mostly, like I said before, people are just lazy, mentally, intellectually lazy, and eager to shove things in categories. Hey, mainstream American whatever, take a second look at these guys. They're operating at a higher frequency. Like I said, they're playing chess, y'all playing checkers.
The unconscious, but the two elements have very different connotations. On the one hand, the waterfall symbolizes the connection between above and below. So it's a symbol that literally unifies the conscious to the unconscious.
I'm sure all you guys knew that
however,
before, when you first saw it.
Subconscious. That is the most superficial part of the unconscious that is usually manifested through dreams. Now, I know this is super confusing, so let me break it down.
No, I'm there with you. I'm there.
The black swans are the shadows who live in the darkest part of ourselves. These shadows are trying to come to the surface, right? And the presence of the waterfall, which is the link between above and below, implies that they are actually succeeding. The fact that they are dancing on a lake confirms that the shadows are super close to the surface, because the lake itself symbolizes the dream, that is the most superficial part of our unconscious.
Incredible detail
From below. The light represents the outer world. It's the persona, if you will. It's the reality that we see peeking out from the shallow waters. So the fact that the swans are dancing right above it implies that in turn, the shadow is pouring out in the real world.
Wow.
This is what we see happen in the interlude, for instance.
Right.
In that video, the shadows are far from repressed. They are free, and they actually affect the boy's perception of the real world. And this is important because perception is the key to understand all this mess. If we take a look at the lyrics of the interlude, Jungian says that the shadows are below him. This is exactly the opposite of what we see happen in the performance, and this is because in order to make sense of Black Swan and Map of the Soul 7, we have to change our perspective and see the story from another point of view. This is where fake love comes into play. Now, just by listening to the songs, the similar instrumentals suggest that Black Swan and fake love are somehow connected to one another.
I'm so glad I looked deep at that one too.
There are some scenes that imply that fake love was foreshadowing the shadow concept all along. But if we take a look at the song's comeback stage, this idea is also confirmed by the setting. In that performance, we see a tree hanging from the ceiling and the boys turning into shadows as they are surrounded by hooded figures. These are the outer shadows that Jungian was talking about in the interlude. They are the pressure, the anxiety, the loneliness, the compromises, everything that made them fulfill the fantasy that allowed them to fly. In Fake Love, the point of the song was that the boys turned themselves into dolls in order to please their audience. They created a perfect version of themselves that now haunts them and is impossible to get rid of.
Wow.
Which basically means that their persona is so in control of their identity that it gets distorted into something dark that threatens to take over them. This is literally one of the
It's incredible how transparent these guys are. They have no problem letting you know about their insecurities, their mistakes, they're incredibly vulnerable, and they allow their fans to get really close to them emotionally, where a lot of artists and celebrities, they keep you at a distance for the most part. These guys have no problem letting you know about their insecurities, their vulnerabilities, their weaknesses. That is very brave of them. And it probably makes the connection with their fans even stronger.
shapes the shadow can transform into. The hooded figures that surround them and that they later become are the representation of the shadows that are dancing on the dream lake. And this idea is also confirmed by the end of the Black Swan choreography, where we see the boys moving as if they are putting hoods on their heads. You see, in a way, Fake Love and Black Swan can be seen as one the reflection of the other.
Very
Fake love
good.
was about love turning fake, their persona taking over and transforming them into something they no longer recognize. And Black Swan tells us about the concept.
It's a total coincidence that I watched Fake Love and then the analysis of Fake Love just a few days ago. I chose that video to get into by accident and to find out that these two are kind of connected. Total random coincidence that I chose that. But now that but because I did, it's making even more sense what this is. So lucky me.
Consequences of this sacrifice, which is them actually losing passion and experiencing their first death. The fake love that distorted their persona is the same feeling that allowed the shadow to come to the surface. And now the two sides are coming together in the middle, which is the dream lake, the final boundary that separates the outer world and the inner one. Now, do you remember at the beginning when I told you that this performance explains everything about Seven and its connection about the past eras? Well, this is how it begins. From a change in perspective. Until now, BTS
Brilliant.
showed us their journey from the outside looking in. Their story only gave us some glimpses of what was going on behind the scenes. But now the perspective is changing and the result is us going back come prima. That is, like before, but with a new insight of what is really going on. The lake, the forest, the black wings, the waterfall, the light, the shadows, these are all symbols that have been here for a very long time now. But now we finally understand what they mean, because Map of the Soul 7 is all about connecting the dots in the map that led them where they are today and where they're gonna be tomorrow. You see, throughout
Very
the
good,
years,
guys.
BTS has been telling us a coming-of-age story that is as true to them as it is to everybody else. Most of us probably cannot relate to their struggle with fame and stardom, but their story is not really about that. It's about their journey to achieve their dreams, their struggle to accept the parts of themselves that they don't like, the anxiety of disappointing those you love, the fear of losing your purpose, the pressure to be true to yourself despite what the world tells you to be. Map of the Soul 7 is a celebration of all of that, but also a closer look that is meant to show that life can be as difficult as it is beautiful. Black Swan is only the beginning of what they have in store for
Oh,
us,
boy.
because their journey is far from over. So even if for now we are focused on the negative aspects of their life, soon enough there will be a turn for the better. Like what happens to Jin in the storyline, in the Map of the Soul series, we are going back in time. We are reliving the same story and the same problems, but we see them from a different perspective, because in the meantime we learned from our mistakes and matured because of experience.
Yep.
Our perspective is changing because we are growing up. We are learning to know ourselves and we are getting a step closer to achieve individuation. But just like in the story, we cannot do it by ourselves. We need each other and we need to connect, because at the end of the
Need
day,
each other.
teamwork makes the dream work. So that's
togetherness
it for me
I was
today.
talking about.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As
Thank
always,
you.
thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. Hey, y'all give her some love. You know, it just occurred to me that this is not BTS. I'm not sure exactly when they started, 2013-ish to now. It is one long art project, a well thought out, almost mini series of an art project. This is better than any series you see on Netflix or whatever. This is better. This is a deeper, unique, creative way to tell a story than I think anyone has ever seen. And over the course of years, they've been telling this story. Wow. Like I said, these guys are on a higher consciousness. Whoever's coming up with this is on a higher consciousness, and we are all just spectators. I wasn't kidding when I said they're supreme beings. I've never seen this. I've never seen this level of detail over the course of many, many, many years, and for them to be able to pull it off. Yeah, because as you can probably tell, guys, I'm a thinker. I'm a deep thinker. That's probably you guys are too. I like challenges. I like mental challenges. And these guys are fulfilling that and then some for me. And so this is great. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And and I will be reacting to Introduction to BTS episode 4, because I think we're going to talk about Suga, who's slowly becoming my bias, I think. I'm liking that guy. I'm liking Suga. He's my guy. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when that reaction video drops. And till next time, guys, I will see you soon.